Hello everyone. Whoo, this hair is crazy. Welcome to Crafting and Cruising. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Rodney in the background.
And he won't be here long because he's got some stuff he needs to do. So, I want to start out by saying I'm not going to be able to read comments once I start painting. So what I'll have to do is go back when the live is over and read comments or questions, and I can answer them then. So please don't hesitate to put questions down there if you have them. Hopefully, I'll be able to explain enough as I'm going that you all will kind of understand what I'm doing. Hey, Diane Newman. I'm going to have my back turned to you, not like I am now, so that you can see my board with my watercolor paper on my lap. So I kind of want to do something I really haven't done before, and that is a watercolor / mixed media. Only mixed medium, hey sweet Diane, in the sense that I'm thinking about, and it may not happen, so that's why I'm not for sure yet. I'm thinking about on his mustache, his eyebrows, and his beard using, and I didn't turn my camera, golden molding paste. That'll give it a three-dimensional look. But I may look at it after I paint it and decide, I don't think I want that. I think I'm going to want it, but I'm just not sure. So let me explain to you what I've done. Hey, Donna Walker, how are you, sister? I hope your leg is doing better, your knee. So let me explain to you a little bit about the process of what I've already done to prepare. This is not the one I'm going to use, but I want you to look at this watercolor paper. So last night I laid down a red, a yellow, and a blue, just in different places. Hey, Stephanie. And I left some white areas. You always want to leave white areas. Hey, Joyce. If you will look closely, you will see a pattern on there. But the pattern is not the same all over. So here's what I did. My watercolor paints were very juicy. I put water all over my paper, and then I took my 1 inch wide or 2 inch, whatever this is, brush. This is a 1.5 brush, and I first went into my yellow color, which was New Gamboge. Hey, Stephanie. And I just went randomly. You don't want any of the corners to be the same. So I just put it on here randomly, took my squirt bottle and kind of squirted the water around a little bit, tilted it back and forth, rinsed my brush, and then I went into the red and put the red on. And it didn't bother me that the red crossed over some of the yellow. Hey, Carly, because that just makes a really pretty orangey color, coral color. And then I rinsed my brush and I went over in blue. So when the blue and the yellow mixed, there's some green areas like right here. And where the blue and red mixed, there's a little bit of a purple hint. Now, if you watched me watercolor before, you've heard me say that watercolor dries 2 shades lighter. So when you put it on the paper, if you like it while it's wet, you're not going to like it when it's dry. So you just need to keep that in mind. When you're wetting your paints down, don't wet them too much if you want the color to be very vivid. The other thing I want you to know is that I'm going to be using primarily transparent watercolors. The reason being that if I want to lift some of it back up to the white of the paper or close to the white of the paper, I can if I've used transparent colors. Hey, Beverly. So then I took my squirt bottle, squirted it a little bit more around, tilted it back and forth, and then I laid it flat to dry. But before I let it dry, I took a paper towel and I, as I say, wiped the baby's bottom around the edges. Otherwise, the water would run back up in here and make back runs, which sometimes are good. Sometimes it's a cool effect. Then I took pieces of, and I had them all laid down here. I took pieces of like a dry cleaner bag, tore them off, wadded them up, stretched them out, whatever, and I just laid them down on the paper. And I did that all over the paper. And when it hit that wet paper with the watercolor, it started making a pattern under the pieces of the dryer. The dry cleaner bag. So I did that all over, and then I weighted it down to let it dry. Just left those things in place, whatever I weighted them down with. Last night, Rodney and I used 2 wooden cutting boards, and I'll be honest with you, when I got up this morning, I wasn't crazy about it because you can see pattern on here. It wasn't quite as much as I wanted it to be, so I don't think that the cutting boards were getting a good enough adhesion to the dry cleaner bag. You can sit glasses, you can sit anything you got, books, anything you got laying around, just set on top once you put the dry cleaner sheets on there, or torn pieces of paper. And then you let it dry completely. Once it dries, then you're ready to paint on it. And I knew I was going to draw a Santa face. So I did another one this morning, and this is the one that we're going to use. And you can see that the patterns showed up. Hey, my sister Denise showed up a lot better weighting them down like I did. You can see where the blue and the red went over each other and made a purple. You can see a little hint of green. You can see pattern in his beard. Now we're going to be painting over that, so it doesn't matter. And if I decide to leave the beard as it is and just add some neutrality to it to make some shadows, then I'll leave it like it is. Who said Santa's beard is white? Just because that's how we see it, right? So I've already sketched off fairly lightly his face. So now what I'm going to do, Rodney's going to turn my chair around for me and get me situated before he has to leave. You all will be looking over my shoulder at me painting, so I will try to talk loud enough to where you can hear what I'm saying and explaining what I'm doing. Just please don't be upset that I can't answer questions. If somebody else is on here and can answer them, great, go right ahead. But I will go back. I found all my other dry cleaner bags. I will go back and read your comments. And if you have questions, then I'll answer them then, okay?
That's a nice shirt you got on. Where'd you get that?
So this is my watercolor paint shirt. I've done a little bit of acrylic in it too. I always wear it because I can wipe my brush off on it and it just doesn't bother me. I've worn this for over 20 years going to workshops and stuff, so I love it.
Do you want to zoom back in a little more?
Well, let me sit down.
Okay.
And then you can look at it and tell me what you think.
Okay.
I need. This is not the ideal situation for doing canvases with canvases with acrylic or watercolor, because I can't easily sit at my desk in here and have enough room to tilt my board. So it's actually going to be tilted on my lap. So that's why I've got extra towels and everything.
Did you
on my
need
lap.
this in the plate?
What?
The camera?
No, I was just putting it there so it would be closer to me.
Okay, let's get it raised up as high as possible and get your board where you can see it.
Here it is.
Let me see if I can get you all zoomed in here where you need to be. That's not bad right there. Let me turn the camera just a tad so it's kind of squared up with it. And there'll be a little shadow or two related to the canvas being in line with the camera. See the camera reflection there?
Mm-hmm.
So
I was totally in the light of all
okay, okay, good. Maybe I need to move the camera a little more back this way. Get everybody good and dizzy. No, that's not bad.
Okay. Alrighty.
Now, we got to plug in your cord because you're in low power mode.
I am? I thought I had it plugged in.
Well,
must have come unplugged.
Let's just
I'm
check
just getting some brushes out here, you guys, that I think I want to use.
Check and make sure this is plugged into something over here because it doesn't seem to be acting like it is.
First thing I'm going to do, First thing I'm going to do is to put what is called mascoid on my paper. It's almost like using what's that glue we used to use in school? The clear stuff, Rodney?
Like paste or
rubber cement.
Yeah.
It's like rubber cement. And what it will do is it will protect the color of the paper anywhere I put it, so that if I continue painting over that section won't get any more paint on it. And you can do that and layer and layer and layer. You can get a layer on, paint, put more mascoid on it, let it dry, paint, etc. So I'm just going to put a little bit. I've got some mascoid in my cup right here. This is a pink.
That's good.
Can they see that?
Yeah.
And I use the pink. I don't normally use the pink. I normally use a yellow. But I've got the pink in here because this is what I got last time. I put on this brush a little bit of kitchen detergent. And now I'm just going to put my mascoid in it. But I want to keep... Get that bug off me. I want to keep my point fairly pointed. And I'm going to go right in here and do a little dot, because I want that area to stay white for the highlight of his eye.
Someone write in the comments if the audio is okay. Can you hear Lisa all right? She's speaking directly away from the phone, so let us know if you can hear well. Diane says it looks good to me. I think she's talking about just the
Good
video
deal.
portion.
Okay. Now, I think I'm going to put a little bit of mascoid
Sound
right
is good.
here.
Just keep speaking loud.
Good deal. Okay.
Folks, I may check back in with you in a little bit, but I'm going to bug out.
Okie dokie. So I'm putting a little mascoid in here, and I'm not making straight lines because this is his mustache, remember? And so his mustache ain't going to have straight lines. It's going to be kind of fuzzy. And we may be going over this anyway with our molding paste. So if we are, then we won't necessarily need it to be any different. I think I will mascoid out this little white highlight area because I like that right there, but I am going to add more color in his cheek.
I'm going to add your molding paste right there.
Okay.
If you need it.
So I'm just going to leave these areas that are already kind of white. So what I have to do is allow this mascoid to dry. It doesn't take long, but I need to allow it to dry so that when I paint over it, now see, this over here is darker. There's not really a white spot there. So let me show you what I can do. Because I'm using transparent watercolors, I'm going to take a little scrubby kind of brush. Let me find it. And remember, I've said before that brushes, brushes and paints are the most important, and paper are the most important parts. So if you decide that you're ever going to do watercolor and be serious about it, you need to get good supplies. Don't need to be cheap with your supplies. Use a professional grade watercolor. Get good watercolor brushes. They don't necessarily have to be expensive. And then use good paper. All right, I'm dipping this little scrubby into water, and I'm going to come right around here where I think I want it to be lighter, because I want him to have a little highlight there. And I'm rubbing it on my paper, and I'm going to blot it off. And I may have to do it several times to take it back close to the white of the paper. It doesn't matter to me if it's totally white. I just want this little area to be lighter so that he'll have a little highlight on his face. And by doing this, I'm also, for the most part, leaving the pattern that's on there, which I want to leave. I deliberately did this. This is just one of many ways to do what's called an underpainting, to get your painting started, to get some color in the background. Okay, so let me get back to my mascoid, and I think I'm going to do a little bit under his eye. Now, the reason, again, that I'm doing this is because I'm going to be coming back and adding more paint right up here to look more flesh color. Well, I don't want this area right here under his eyes to be any darker. So the only way I can do that is either I have to be really super careful when I'm painting around it, to paint around it, or I need to get it kind of blocked off somehow. So all of this will come off with a little square rubber cement remover that I have whenever I get ready to take it off at the end of the painting. Now I'm going to make some kind of little lines up in here in his eyebrows, because I'm kind of want his eyebrows to be grayish and a little bit of white here and a little bit of white there. And so it's not going to be totally white, but once I start putting the gray or the black in here, then all of these colors are going to appear more white. So I need to get them masked off as well. So, you know, a lot of people would say this is their least favorite part of watercolor, is having to do things like this. But it's kind of like when you learn to play the piano or any other instrument, I guess. All I know is the piano. You don't just sit down and play. You have to start learning how to read music, and then you have to learn how to do scales, and then you learn how to do chords, and it's a process, just like riding a bicycle is when we're kids. It's a process. So you have to do this kind of grunt work, I guess you could call it. I'm kind of tilting it in the light so I can see what I've got. You got to do this kind of little grunt work to get prepared before you start having fun and putting the actual colors on it. And that's when the fun really starts. That's my favorite part. So I'm going to save a little bit of white right here on his nose. It's not white, it's yellow, I realize, but you all are going to think it's white when you see the other color up against it, because the darker we make his face, then the lighter the white areas are going to seem. And again, I'm not trying to make perfect circles, because the highlight is not going to be a perfect circle. Now he has a lot of, the light is kind of shining on both sides of his face. So what I think I'm going to do is not worry about that. I'm going to leave that part just like it is. I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight over here on his little, the top part of his hat. Just let that kind of fade in. And since I'm thinking about using that molding paste, I really don't think I'm gonna worry too much about saving the whites other places, because I really think we're gonna have it covered up. But I'll just have to wait and see what happens when I get this done. Okay, now down here on his lip, I need to have a little bit of white showing. I'm trying to tilt this so I can. I didn't make my drawing too dark. If you make it too dark, then your lines will show through. Now, there's a lot of watercolor artists who love their pencil lines showing through, and they'll deliberately make it that way. And that's totally fine if that's who you are as a person. I personally, most of the time, don't like my pencil lines to show, but I don't panic over it if it does. And I didn't put in every little wrinkle and every little, you know, blemish on his face, because if I had drawn those in, it would have made it a lot harder for me to go back and try to paint over. So you kind of do that with your brush as you go. Watercolor should be fun. And watercolor at its best is very loose. And that's been really hard for me as an artist to do, because I tend to paint photorealistically, and so it's kind of hard for me to get out of the not wanting to put every little line and every little draw, every little thing that's supposed to be in there, because that's what our minds tell us. Our minds say, oh, you should have a line right there. Oh, you should put in every little wrinkle in his forehead so you won't forget him. That's what your brain sees if you're looking at a photo reference. And so then it says to you, this is what you need to do. But that's not necessarily what you need to do, because a lot of times what you leave out is just as important, if not more so, than what you add to. So that's something good to remember in watercolor. Here's the Misket that I use. It's by Grumbacher. It's a liquid frisket, it says, for watercolor. And, you know, you just shake it up. Whenever you have any of the friskets, store them upside down like this. If you don't, then when you try to pull it out the next time or pour it out, it'll have a big clump in the top. So always store it upside down. Don't do what I just did by shaking it. When you pick it up, you can tilt it gently back and forth to kind of mix it a little bit, but you shouldn't mix it real hard like I was doing, or shake it hard, because then you'll end up with bubbles and you won't like it. Okay, so down here we have everything drying. I think those are dry. So we're going to start out with his eyes. I always think when you get the eyes put in, it makes a big difference. Now in watercolor, and this is not true for everybody, this is true for me because this is the way I was taught. You don't use black. You make black. If you use, you can get black, you can get a tube black, but if you use a tube black, it looks like somebody has taken a weapon and put a hole in there. It's just not attractive. So the way we make black is that we mix a blue and a brown, a dark blue and a brown. So y'all probably can't see this, see my palette, but I'm going to come over here to my French ultramarine blue. Can y'all see any of that? You can't. Okay, let me show you. I'm going to pick this up and show you. Now, okay, my French ultramarine blue is right here. Okay, I'll take my spray bottle and give it make it a little wetter. Spray bottle is your best friend when you're doing watercolor because you don't want to dip down in the water you clean your brushes in, or you'll mess up your other colors. Okay, just going to wipe my brush off and get a little bit of burnt sienna and add to the French Ultra. And can you see that that's almost totally black? Then if you feel like you need more, a little bit more blue, you can get a little more blue and mix in if it's not quite dark enough for you. But that makes the perfect black without it looking like somebody has deliberately put a hole there, okay? Okay, so we're going to go around his eyes right here, and we're just going to start putting in black. Now remember, when it dries lighter. So if you have to go in and do another coat, you can. You can layer just like you can in acrylic. I'm going to paint right over that missed it because it's dry, and it's not going to let me get any more color right where that dot is. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. That's exactly why I put it there. Now this is wet onto dry, meaning my paper is dry, my paints are wet, so I'm painting wet into dry. When I did this underpainting, I was doing wet into wet. I used wet paint and my paper was already sprayed wet. You can also use dry on wet, dry paint with no with just pure pigment onto wet paper and get a darker color, or you can do dry onto dry. Okay, so there's that little eye right there. Now let's go over here and do the same thing over here. I hope y'all can y'all see? Yeah. Okay. Mike can see my husband backing his truck up and around too. We've got an extra refrigerator since we got my sister-in-law's old refrigerator that needs to be hauled out of our house and hauled away. And then we have an extra washer and dryer that need to go up to our laundry room, and then our old one brought down and gotten rid of. And our daughter and son-in-law and their 2 children are coming in tonight from Lexington, so we need to get that done ASAP. So Carly's boyfriend's supposed to be coming over soon and helping Rodney do all that, so that's why he can't be in here with us. Okay, so we got his eyeballs put in. At least we know he's looking at us. Now, he's got 2 little nostrils down here that I've already kind of drawn in with my pencil, so I'm going to go back and I didn't even add more paint. I'm just kind of coming back and going over those little areas I shaded in just to remind myself of what was supposed to be happening there. So we've got those in now. Okay. Now, we probably should go on and outline his eyes while I've got this long brush, and let me not talk while I do that. Because if I talk, I'll mess it up. Now you will see me a lot using my little finger to kind of ground myself. I've heard people say, I can't do watercolor. I can't do something like that because I have the shakes, or see where my little finger's down on the board right here? I'm holding it down and steadying it. And I did all that with one stroke. Now, this is not the ideal way to paint. Hold, please. Turn your board if you need to. You're the artist, you're in charge, you do what you need to do. Now, this is not the ideal way to paint. Normally, I'm either on an easel or I'm sitting at a desk or table where I can prop my paper up. If I'm at a table, then what I usually do is get a roll of paper towels and set on the table, and then I just do this at an angle like this, so I'll have it in front of me. So doing it on my lap is making it a little more difficult, but we'll get it done. All right, now I'm going to go down here and put a little dark right here on the inside of his lip, because that's going to be a little bit in shadow, but we're going to come back with red over it. So, you know, where his mustache comes down over the top of his lip, there's going to be a shadow. So all I'm doing now is putting a little shadow in. I added a little water to my brush so that it's not just a straight line, and I can kind of smooth it out. Then we'll go back and we will add the red when we start working with the red. Okay, now what I want to do is start working on his cheeks. So I'm going to use probably 2 colors, if I can find my brush I got out to do it with. I thought I had my brush laid out. Did I drop it? Y'all, I'm a mess. Let me see if I can find one. I want to do, okay, I want to use that same burnt sienna that I used on my black, but I'm also going to use one called quinacridone gold, which is, let me hold my palette up again. This is quinacridone gold right here, okay? This is New Gamboge. This is quinacridone gold. So I think I'm going to maybe use a little bit of quinacridone gold, and he's going to kind of be a vintage looking Santa, but I want a little bit of pink. So I'm just going to kind of bring a little pink to the side. It may mix some with that. That's okay. This is called Permanent Rose. Most of these are by Daniel Smith or by Winsor Newton. Now that's going to not be good because some of that blue had come out of there. So I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, so now I have 2 colors, and I'm just going to kind of dip in both of them, unlike acrylic where you would dip in one and then flip it over and dip in the other. This way I can control, if I want to have more pink, I'll go back and add more pink. So I'm just going to, I already made kind of my little cheek line around here, so I'm just following it around. And I'm going to come right on around. I'm going to blend just like we would our makeup in just a minute. And then I'm going to come down here under his eye, even where I put the mascoid. I'm just going to come down and kind of bring all of this together, okay? Now I'm going to dip my brush. I did drop a brush then. And I'm going to come down here and just kind of tap it on the bottom, adding some water, and let the water take the paint, fade it down to practically nothing, okay? So obviously the more water you add, the lighter your color is. again, then if you say, oh, I think I need more color here instead of less, then you can go back and add more. I'm constantly turning my board, constantly. Sometimes it's a really good exercise for watercolorists especially to try to do a painting upside down, because it gives you a whole different perspective than what you're used to. So now we're kind of coming up with a little definition from his eye down by his nose. Remember, I put the mascoid up on there, so where you see that the paint is not sticking, that's where the mascoid is. I'm going to go back and deepen this a little bit. Right on the inside of his nose, I want it a little darker than it's going to be up here. So let me turn it and see if I can get a little more depth of color in here. And I'll just let it run, baby, run. Okay. Now, we don't want such a sharp line right here. So I'm going to go back, rinse my brush, get a little clear water, and then I'm just going to kind of come around this edge where I was and put clear water and let that just kind of run into it, okay? I can still see my line. I can see my pencil line, so I probably did that one a little bit too dark. That's okay. We can rub some of it out with our little scrubby brush. And then we'll just fade this out. Doesn't matter, some of this paint gets down on his mustache because we're going to take care of his mustache anyway. Okay, so we've got that white marked out there. Now he needs some flesh color up in here. So what I have on my brush, I'm still just moving it around up in here. If I need more, I'll go back and get more. Again, remember, he's going to kind of be a vintage looking Santa, so we're not trying to make him look perfect. We want a little bit of light color over here around the side. So we can just kind of start blending up, and it's still, you're still going to be able to see the other color underneath it. Why? Because I use transparent watercolors. So that's another reason why you do it, is so you can see what's underneath. Since you usually start out with a yellow, then the yellow will glow through the other colors. And when we take this off, see, right now it's in your face because that's all you see. But when we take it off, then we can go back and do some more blending. Okay, so let's make this a little more rounded. Then let's do the other side. Start up here by his eye. Come on down and around here. It's just supposed to be fun. Not, oh my gosh, I just messed up, or I was stressing out over all this. What am I doing? You're just having fun. It's paper and it's paint and it's water. So if you use transparent watercolors, you can go back and basically take care of any problem that you have and get all the way back to the white of the paper if you need to. And if you have an entire painting that you don't like, now this is not true necessarily once it dries, but while you're painting, if you say, you know what, I really, this isn't doing it for me. I really don't, I don't like this painting at all. I wish I could just start over. Run your bathtub with some water. Make sure your tub is really, really clean first. Good and clean. You don't want any body oils or any lotions or soaps or shampoo or anything. Or if you're using a small enough paper, you can put it in the kitchen sink. But make sure that it's very clean. Then rub it. Look what I just did. Did y'all just see that? I'm glad y'all saw that. I just stuck that big old blob of blue right there. So that'll give me a good opportunity to show you how I can just take it right on back off. And I'm not even using my scrubby brush. I'm just using this brush I was using. I think I'm going to use my scrubby brush though. Anyway, what I was saying was, before I so rudely interrupted myself, is make sure your tub is really good and clean, and then run some water in it. Put your paper down in there and let it soak for a bit, and then pick it up and take paper towels and start blotting. If you have a scrubby, you can gently scrub. Now, if you scrub too much, you'll scrub a hole in the paper, so you have to be careful. But there's really not anything that you can't take care of with watercolor. And that's why I like it so much. Make it a little darker under here. Now, you know, right now, we're just trying to get color down. We're not trying to make this perfect yet. We're just trying to get color on here that will sort of resemble what we think we want on him, to start seeing where we need to go. And while we're doing this, see, the mascoid is drying. Now I want his little nose in some places to be darker. I think I need to get a little bit more of this burnt umber. I may mix it with a little bit of the black. There we go. Now we're getting better. Oh, there's a bug in here that's driving me crazy. Now, if you've watched me do watercolor before, I've talked about how to make things look like they recede, or how to make things look like they're coming forward. His nose needs to be on top of his cheeks. Your cheeks don't go over the top of your nose. Your nose kind of comes out, and you're looking at the picture over your cheeks. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I darken the area between his nose and his cheek on both sides to push that color, to push that part of his nose back. So let me demonstrate. I'm adding a little bit more red, okay? So I need in here, of course I've got mascoid on that, but I want to come around here with a little bit darker color so that it will push the cheeks back away from the nose. You can already see on this side how the cheek looks like it's more inset and the nose is coming out over it, okay? Let me do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to turn it upside down. Start down here and come up and go right around there and just make it darker. And that's just pushing the cheeks back and the nose a little bit on top. Okay? Now, use my fingers. I'm going to leave that little white highlight right there. I like that. However, I don't like that sharp line. So I'm going to try to just get some of this line out. I realize some of it is my pencil, and I really should not have. Normally, I wouldn't draw in the cheeks. I was trying to do it so I could demonstrate for y'all how I was going to apply the color, but normally I would not. I would not draw the cheeks in. Okay, I think down here I'm going to use a little bit more of this red or the rose because I think it's a little bit too rusty. Now, while it's wet, go back, take your brush and go over it with just clean water. Not clean water, but it's not totally dirty either, so that it'll start running and you won't have just a solid line. And right here, I don't want a solid line, so I'm just going to keep bringing it out and wiping my brush off in between so that it's not solid. Now he's got some more rosy cheeks. Now when we take this mascoid off, we'll have to go back and put a little more color because it's going to be so much lighter than what this is, okay? Alright, so let's go down here, around his nose, his nostril, bring it up. Take some water, add to it, and just fade it on out. Okay, now I think he needs a little more color up in here, more like the rest of his face is, before we put his eyebrows in. Leave a little bit of light space right there. And I know, because I remember how I felt when I first started taking lessons. I know it seems daunting and overwhelming, and you think there is no way on God's green earth I can do that. There is. I promise you. There is. I sketched this one off. I could have copied it and traced it off if I had a light source to put under it. There's lots of things you can do. You don't have to have great drawing skills to be able to do something like this. And then when you start applying the paint, it seriously is just a matter of working it until you get it like you want it. And adding more water, taking off if you want to take some off, blotting some out with the paper towel if you want to, or a brush. Just, you need to not, and I like I said, I'm preaching to the choir, I know, because I remember what I went through. I wanted to do it for so many years, but I heard so many people say, oh, it's really hard. It's the hardest medium. I personally have never done oils, and to me, oils would be a lot harder than watercolor. That's just me. I may be totally wrong, but that's how I feel about it. So sometimes you just have to step out and say, you know what, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and I'm going to make myself do this no matter what. And if you try it and you don't like it very much, then what do? You say, okay, that wasn't for me, I'll try something else. But sometimes you just got to give stuff a try, because I was shocked the first time I did a painting that I thought was anywhere near, you know, okay. I was shocked at myself. I was like, wow, I just did that. I can't believe I just did that. Okay, now I want down here by this side of his nostril to be a little bit darker. So I'm going back in that black I had because my paper is still wet where I've been working on this cheek. So I can add some of the black in here, and then I can make it kind of fade away, but it's just giving more and more depth to that part of his nose. And it's adding a little shadow because, you know, your nose casts a shadow over your face. You're sitting in the sun, there's going to be a little shadow there. I think I need to kind of connect this part down here by his nostrils a little bit. Not make that so different. Something about this one is bothering me, so let me see what I can do maybe to kind of make this one a little bit more round. Oh, I hear Carly's boyfriend coming. Can y'all hear him? Comes 7:47, that's what I say. Look at that truck. Can y'all see that? Oh my goodness. He revs that thing up, y'all. He is so proud of that truck. And sometimes I want to just kick him because he gets so loud. He revved it up the other night. Rodney and I were in bed, and I sent Carly a text and I said, what in the world? I thought, boy, do you not know that some of us have to sleep? He's a doll. I love him, but sometimes I just get frustrated with that truck. Okay, I need some more definition on the nose right on this side. So I'm going back and I just put more paint on, and then after I did that line, I just wiped my brush off. This, I think this has mascoid on it, does it? Yeah, that's why I can't paint over that right now. So we'll do that in a minute. All right, now I think we need a little smaller brush too. I think I dropped a brush. Yep, I dropped two brushes. Ugh. Okay. Where's that little one I was using? Y'all, I'm a hot mess. I had another pointy brush, and I can't look back and see what y'all are saying. I'm sure you're telling me right where it is. Ugh. Okay, let me see if I can find another one in all these brushes. Maybe I can use this one. Let's see. This is one of my all-time favorite brushes I hadn't hardly used. I need to go over here and do his ear a little bit. Give him a little bit of definition in that ear. Except I got a bunch of mascoid on it. And go around the edge. Wiped the excess off on my paper towel. And now I'm just kind of blending it down. Because a lot of this is going to be white, where his beard and mustache are all over him. Okay, now the black, that's what I was going to do. I think we need to have a little more black area defined right here, and maybe even up here. I hope y'all are still with me. I don't like it when I can't see comments. Okay, let's do a little bit more on this eye. My teacher would die if she saw me sitting here with this thing on my lap. She said, girl, get you an easel. She always painted standing up. When we were taking lessons, I don't like to paint standing up. I'm not adept enough to do that, but there's a lot of painters who do. Okay. Now we need to put him some lips in just a minute, but I think I need a little bit more color right down in here. And see, that brush looks kind of big, but it's working perfect. My favorite brush. There used to be a guy in my class that used a teeny tiny fine line little brush, and my teacher would go by there and she'd say, put that brush up, and she'd grab another one of his brushes and give it to him. She'd say, use this brush. I thought, it's going to take you till Jesus comes to get that painting finished. He didn't like it much. She made him do it. I'm taking a little bit of that out. Can't wait to get that mascoid off there because it's driving me crazy. I can't fix his nose. A little bit more shadow here. Just keep adding, taking away, adding, taking away. Paint, water, and paper. That's all it is. Now, the good thing about acrylic, and I know this is what a lot of people like about it, is you can paint over it. You know, you can add layers of paint, and you can use white and, you know, lighten things up. We don't use white in watercolor. Well, I shouldn't say we don't. A lot of people probably do, but the way I was trained is to not use white. The white is the white of your paper. So you really don't need to use white. You just need to mascoid out and leave the white of your paper with the mascoid. It's because, I think, because the white is so in your face white. And I think that's why it just doesn't work for a lot of people, including me. So I'll kind of deepen it here just a little bit in the shadow. I hope y'all can still see. It's hard when I can't see what y'all see. When you're seeing my backside and I don't get to see your comments, drives me crazy. Okay, put a little more color right here. Now, every painting should have lights, darks, and mediums as far as the hues or the color. We have dark, we have light, we have medium. But it should also have neutrality. Neutrality is what gives it oomph and makes your eye want to kind of wander around the painting to see what all's going on in there. I'm getting a little bit more pink. I want these cheeks to be more pink. I just don't, I'm not crazy about this orange. So, to make neutrality, you mix a red, a yellow, and a blue together. And you get a neutral color. Now, I've got this black over here that I've been using. I can just water it down some and have neutrality because it's already got two of the colors in there. So gray, as you know, is a neutral color. Oops, that's too much. So I could just come over and get some of this black, or what I used for black, since it's more of a neutral color anyway, and put some neutrality in here. He's got a little bit of neutrality in his lips, but that's really more of a shadow black than it is neutrality, okay? So, oops. All right, so let's see where we want to, let's go and get his lips put in. So, I'm going to use my permanent rose, and I'm going to come down here. Remember, we've got mascoid on here, so I've already kind of saved some highlights. Let me get a little more water on that. My second to oldest granddaughter starts high school this year, and so her older sister took her today to see kind of walk her through the high school. Can't believe it's already time for her to be in high school. It just seems incredible to me how fast time flies. Even if you're not having fun, it flies. Now, I'm not too worried about how even these lips are because, again, we're going to put the white modeling paste or molding paste over it, so it doesn't really matter. I think those lips are a little bit too red, so let's take them down some with this burnt sienna, which is more of a brown color. Now he's starting to take shape a little bit. Okay. All right, so let me show you neutrality. We're going to use, I need to make up some more. I'm going to make up some of that black, just like I showed y'all earlier. I'm not going to bring you over and show you. I'm just going to make some more of that because that was about gone. And I'm really going to water it down a lot to make the neutrality. In fact, I may bring a little bit of this new Gambosian here. There we go. Okay. Now, this is very, very wet. So I'm going to take a lot of it and wipe it off on my paper towel. And then I'm just going to start going like this to make some eyebrows. Okay? Remember, we already marked off some with the mascoid. So now I'm going right over the mascoid and I'm just adding him some, I want him to have some bushy eyebrows. But I don't want them to look, you know, like they're painted on there. When we take that mascoid off, then if we need to add some deeper spots, we can. Some darker ones. But right now, we want to just kind of wisp them up over that mascoid. I must have put a lot of mascoid on this side. You can see where the little dots are showing through here. Those are a little bit longer on that side. Just kind of add a little water and not make them so uniform. Okay. Now, I believe that we ought to have a little, just a little bit of shading under here. Oh, this fruit fly or whatever it is gonna drive me insane. My niece and her husband, the one that lives, or he's from Amsterdam. He has to go back and forth. They're married now, but they're going to be staying in the RV for a couple of nights, starting tomorrow night, I think. So my daughter and her family will be here, and then my niece and her hubby are going to be here in the RV, and then all of us that normally are in our house. It's going to be, we're going to have a full house. It's going to be fun. Okay. So, let me think what I want to do next. I still think I still want a little less color showing right here, but I think I made my paint way too thin. So let me get a little more French Ultra and burnt sienna. Now y'all, I told you before, my teacher used to make me tell the newbies in the class what colors to use for black, because she knew I thought it was funny. So y'all figure it out. Burnt sienna, French Ultra. You got it? Y'all figure it out? Burnt sienna. Think initials. French Ultra. French Ultramarine is what it really is. See how you can just go back and add and add and add? All right, now I want to do his hat. And for his hat, I've got Scarlet Lake. Let me show you. This is Scarlet Lake. It's like a fire engine red. Can y'all see that? Yeah, you can see it up there in the corner. I think it's still going to be a little too much. So, we are going to add Permanent Rose and Scarlet Lake together. And what I'm going to do is use a bigger brush. This is his little hat up here. This is red. This is going to be white like fur. This is the little ball at the end of his hat. So we're going to take a bigger brush. I'm going to wet it. I'm going to dip into my Scarlet Lake. I didn't thin it down. I flipped it over. I'm dipping into my Permanent Rose, and I'm putting it on here. Now I'm going to dip in water, and I'm going to add water. And I'm just going to keep adding water. If I need to add more paint, I'll add more paint. Now, I'm going to show you. Remember we talked about the different types of applying paint. Wet to wet, wet to dry, dry to dry, and dry to wet. Okay? That was dry and to dry. Now watch. I'm barely going to touch the ends of where I stopped. And watch what happens. See how that paint's just continuing to travel I'm going to add some water down here. And wherever I add water, when the paint hits it, it's going to travel down there, okay? So let me get a little more of the colors. Put them in here. And watch it go. And there it goes. It's only going to go where there's water. So it won't come over here or over here because I'll have water over there. If I were to slip with my brush and get water over there, then the color would travel over there. All right, turn it upside down. Sideways. I want this hat to be pretty red. See how I'm grounding my brush with my little finger right here? Now, this is starting to dry up here, so I need to move it so I won't have a sharp line right there. Okay, let me get some water and put on here, and then we're going to drop the color in so you can see how the color will just go where it's supposed to go. Anywhere there's water. We have a couple of highlights that we masked out there. Now I don't mind if this has a lot of sharp lines on it because this is his hat. So it needs to be pretty defined. And that is some red right there, girls. Still a transparent watercolor. I can still go all the way back, or almost all the way back to the white of the paper if I needed to from this color. Now that's not true with staining colors. Staining colors are just like they say. They'll stain. Alright, I'm going to take some of this Scarlet Lake and I'm going to put over here to the side and wet it down. Actually going to get a bigger brush too. See, this brush right here is a lot bigger. Wet it. Water down some Scarlet Lake, and now I'm going to glaze over the whole thing that I just did, because I kind of want it to be a little bit more of a Christmas red, and I think by mixing that permanent rose I got a little bit carried away with rose, and I want this to be Christmas red. I could also, to make this mixed media if I wanted to, I could go back and after I get the molding paste in, I could go over his eyebrows with diamond dust. I could go over his hat with diamond dust, his mustache and beard with diamond dust, just to give him some extra sparkle, if we wanted to. Now, once I commit to doing something like that with diamond dust, that would not be easy to get back off. So you got to know that you really want something like that on there before you come back on this paper and put it on. Otherwise, you're not going to get it off. Okay, so he's coming along. I think his eyes need to be a little deeper color. So I'm going to glaze over them, and glazing just means I'm going over what's already there with another color. I'm just going to glaze over them with the French Ultramarine and see if it'll get them a little bit deeper. Whoops, I went out of the line there. No biggie. I think maybe if I glaze over with the French Ultra, it'll get a little bit deeper. Yep. And since it's already kind of black underneath, then it's just going to look blacker. See, sometimes when you turn your board, you just have better control in some areas. You can access areas better and not have to worry about shaking as much or having to really control what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit darker right here. Some of his little eyebrows. Just just think that would look better when the mascoid comes off. And I think we're going to take the mascoid off first before we do the molding paste, because we need to see where we need to go back and add or take away something. And I got to work on that nose right there because it's driving me insane. Now, his hat, I want to put a little black under where his hat's going to, because there will be shadow under there. So we need to make sure that we get that shaded in too. Bug, I'm fixing to smash you. Go, go, go. I don't like bugs. They bug me. Ah! See what I did there? Okay. So that's showing us that this white part's coming out over the top of his head. Just by putting that depth in there with the dark color. And see, you can still see, in a lot of these places, you can still see the pattern showing through. We've covered a lot of it up by just adding layers of paint, but you can still see some of the pattern showing through from where I had the dry cleaner bag on here. I love that effect. Love it, love it. Don't want a harsh line right there. Back and added a little red. Keep dipping in the water. Okay, so we are about ready to take the mascoid off. Or misket, frisket, it's got all kinds of names, y'all. If you're going to use your fingers, make sure you don't have like Cheetos or dust on there or something. That would not be good. Okay, he's coming along. Now let me grab my little remover. Hold, please. I didn't think about needing that. I thought I had it out. Do I? Well, y'all, hold on. I've got 2 or 3 of them. Now when I need them, I can't find them. I would have sworn I had one sitting right here. Good, got one up here. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry, I'll be right back. I'm trying to figure out what I did with it. Here it is. I knew it was up here. Okay. This is the remover part. That was good, Lisa, right in paint. Okay, this little thing right here is what we use to remove the mascoid. So you just rub it and it picks it up. And if you get enough on it, eventually you can make a little ball out of it and have another piece of mascoid. See, we got some cleaning up to do for sure. See how it's gone back? And that was not totally white, remember? When we started painting, that was not totally white at all. But it looks totally white compared to what it's up against now. Had some over there, had some down here on his lips. Okay, got some right there. You want to make sure you get it all off. Got a little bit right there, a little bit right here, and a little bit down here. It's still wet, that's why it's not wanting to come off. Okay, so now we've got some cleanup to do on all three. So, let's get some more of our burnt sienna out here. Ooh, that was way too much. Water it down. I'm going to bring a little bit of the new gamboge into it. And I'm just going back in. We're going to touch up his little wrinkles. Now, we don't want that harsh line right there. Let's wet it. Okay. Bring this down a little bit. See, I'm just kind of scooting this paint around, covering up where those harsh lines were. Get a little bit of darker red in here. Oh, you know what? That didn't come off yet. I still got masquerade on it. Oh, come off. I'll have to wait till that dries. Okay. No harsh lines. Our wrinkles aren't harsh like that, are they? I love it when Ronnie's out here and can read comments, because then I don't feel so separated from y'all. I don't like not being able to see if y'all are asking questions or making comments or whatever, but I will. I'll go back and watch. Now let's do something about these cheeks. They're kind of rough looking. This bug, I promise you, will be the death of me. Go. Even know what he is or how he got in here. All right, now, here's what we want to do. Since I've got a line there where the mascoid was before, I've got to try to lift a little bit of this out and kind of blur these lines a little bit. There we go, that blurred that one. But this is a little too much right here. Can y'all see? So I'm wetting and then I'm blotting. blotting. And then I kind of want to just blend all of this in so we don't have such a harsh line. I actually need a little more red down here. I know this may be kind of boring to just sit and watch, you guys. I love to watch people paint. Get a bigger brush. But to me, it's just relaxing. But that's not true for everybody. I think I still have some masquerade right there too. I want these cheeks to be round, I tell you. What? No stark line right there. Just a little highlight's what we want. Putting mascoid on, a lot of people don't use it. A lot of watercolorists don't use it because of this very reason. It makes such a dark, like a thick line, no matter how small a brush you try to use. I used to try to use a toothpick or a Q-tip and put it on, but it's hard when you want just a really thin line to keep it thin. It really is. So a lot of people just prefer to paint around whatever it is that they're trying to save the white of instead of using mascoid. And you know, I really wish this had not turned out quite so. See, I mean, we're taking care of it, this compared to this, but it still is a little much. So next time I would probably just paint around it. This needs to be lighter. Most of the time when I'm painting, I can just hear my art teacher in my head. I want to just say, hey Gail, what would you do about this? Hey Gail, how should I handle this? See if I can give him a little more pinky cheeks instead of that other color. Alright, let's tackle the other side. See what we can do. Just gotta get some paint on here and get this kind of going. That really was, I think, a lot. I think that's where I left a white spot when I was doing the underpainting part. I think that was totally white. See, I lost my little definition right there around the nose, so I've got to go back and make sure I take care of that. A lot of times it's just trial and error. What else do I need to do to make it like I want it? How else can I, you know, add color? Or if that color's not right, how can I glaze over it to make it something else? It's just trial and error, trial and error. But eventually you learn a lot about color, and I think that's key. I've told y'all this before, if you've watched me before, that my art teacher made us do color charts, and you learn so much when you do a color chart. It's again one of those things that most people don't like to do, because if you're gonna, if you're gonna have a paintbrush in your hand, you won't be painting, right? But it is so true that when you learn about how certain colors behave and react, and you've got your color charts done, it makes a huge difference, especially when you want to find like a certain color green. And right in the middle of doing a painting is not when you need to discover how to make that color green. So we did green charts, and we mixed different blues with different yellows, and we would make it pure pigment mixed together, and then we would wet it a little bit in the next square and make it a little bit less pigment in the next square, and keep adding water to the next square, the next square, the next square, so that you could see how the tones were going to be. And then when you got ready to say, well, now this green that I'm using here is not a normal green, how can I make this more like I want it? Then you get out your green color chart and you see on there, oh, I used New Gambosian French Ultramarine. That's how I made it. Okay, that's what I need. And I need it to like a level 3. I can see on this chart right here. I don't need it quite so dark as what I have it, so I've got to take it down some with water. So it's kind of like when we learned multiplication tables in school. You know, that was memorization, granted, but you have to just work with it, and when you do those charts, then you can see, now I see that this is the wrong blue. I should have used a blue that had a little more red in it. And suddenly it all starts coming into focus, and then you can see even better what you mistook before. So doing the charts like that, it's a pain in the rear end, but it is so helpful when you get ready to need a color. Same way with purples, same way with the neutralities. They're super, super helpful. But man, I resisted when she first wanted us to do them. I was like, I hate this, Gail, I hate it. She said, you won't hate it sometime when you need a color. And she was right. And now I'm just trying to go back and leave a little bit of the white spaces of his eyebrows, but not too much, because again, those spaces were really big. Okay. Some of that dark that I put in last time is a little bit, needs to be kind of thinned down a little bit. I've also got 2 towels laying on my lap that I keep so that if I don't want to reach for a paper towel, I've just got the towels there to do the job for me. I just wash them in the washing machine, reuse them. Oops, that was too far. Okay, so now he's got some white eyebrows, even though we're probably going to put the stuff on his eyebrows. Just in case we don't, let's go on and get some eyebrows in here on this side. And then I think we're going to be ready to do a little bit of neutrality in his beard, because the white molding paste may not totally cover his beard. So we need some little shadowing in there as well. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the molding paste, which has to dry for a while. So I'll have to post a picture tomorrow of what it looks like. Okay. All right, I think we need to do a little bit more to his lip. A little bit more shadowing to his lip. Can y'all still see what I'm doing? Okay, and I'm going to get a little bit more of the Scarlet Lake and the Permanent Rose, and just kind of go around where we had some of that mascoid. so it's not such a stark line. Okay. Maybe a little bit deeper red right here. There we go. That's more better. Okay, so we're going to stop with the lips. May blot just a little bit off. And now, let's put a little shading down in the beard. And we're going to go for the paste, which won't take long at all. Okay, so let's see. We're going to have this neutrality right here. Remember I told you I've already got it mixed up. So I'm going to go in and put some down here under the outline of his mustache. And then I'm going to add some water just to let it run, baby, run. Don't need a lot because we're just giving it a little depth, and like I said, it may all be covered up in a minute with the molding paste. Also, in watercolor, something to remember, it's really true of any kind of painting, what goes up must come down. And what that means is, if you've got red in the top of your painting, then somewhere in the bottom of your painting you need red. If you've got purple in the bottom of your painting, then somewhere in the top you need some purple. It might just be a little hint of it. But you don't want to divide up colors like purple here and red here and yellow here. You need continuity. All right, so y'all know I'm going to keep on working on that nose till I get it just like I want it. Bugging me. It's bugging me. Come on, you need to just be a little cooperative with me. Okay. Maybe it's this side that's bugging me. Maybe it's not round enough. So tomorrow we're celebrating all the birthdays. I think we're going to go to a water park close to us and let the kids swim for a little bit. They've got some, it's really a recreation center, but they've got some little outdoor slides and stuff. So we're going to go there and let them do that, and then we're all going to go out to dinner and open presents and just have a big, big time. Okay. I think this is just too in your face white, that it's not quite matching. Sorry, y'all. Okay, I'm going to have to come back and work on that some more. We're going to go to the molding paste now. So, let me move this out of the way. I also, before I totally move that, need to give a little shadowing in his hat, so it's not so flat looking. I can also hear my friend Lucinda, who's gone on to glory, in the back of my mind saying, don't over booger it, Lisa, don't over booger it. And she's right. But I also know that you gotta have some dimension too. One of y'all was probably telling me, Lisa, you need some shadowing in that hat, need some dimension. Don't quit yet. Is that what y'all were saying? I'm just kind of blending it in. Almost, you guys, almost. Every time I say that, then I do something else. I know. That's too stark a line. That's too white. And knowing me, after the weekend's over, I'll probably go back and add some more stuff to it. I'll try not to, but I probably will. So tomorrow's live will probably be from the water park, and it won't be very long because I want to spend time with my family, but since I made that commitment to go live every day in July, then I got to fulfill my commitment. So at some point in time I'll be live, but it likely will not be with the craft. Tell Ronnie, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do now when it gets to be closer to time for Christmas and everybody's starting to do Christmas crafts, because I'm going to be Christmas crafted out. Okay, now some of this is going to have the white molding paste coming over it too, so I'm not too worried about that. I just needed some depth in behind it, so when the molding paste is put on there, it looks like there's something giving it some dimension. All right, put this down, get my molding paste right here, and let's see what happens. I had a spatula or a knife. Oh, here it is. Hey y'all. Okay. Let me get it off here first. So, here we go. Now, this will cover up the pattern in the background, so we won't be able to see it with this on it. But this is what makes it mixed media instead of just watercolor. Because now we've taken it to a different level. I'm trying to kind of make it look like fur by doing the little swirls. And this you can play with and play with and play with day and night. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, see what I should have done, and I didn't, so I'm going to tell y'all right now. I should have put a little dark line on this side to differentiate where the ball is, where the ball starts of the little poofy ball on his hat. And I didn't. So, do as I say, not as I do. I used to hate it when my mother said that. Now, what I've also discovered with molding paste, and I do not know why, I need to do some research and figure it out. Sometimes, in fact, I would say most of the time, if not all the time, when I use molding paste and it dries, there goes the old washing machine and the old refrigerator. Bye-bye. Nice knowing you. Actually, I think he's going to leave it here for somebody that works. My daughter works sometimes with the homeless downtown Nashville, and they've got a shelter kind of place that may use these. So one thing I've noticed about molding paste is that when it dries, it has kind of a grayish look to it. And I'm like, wait, why? And even sitting here looking at it in this light right now, it looks kind of gray to me. But, so if that happens and I don't like it, then what I'll do is just take some white acrylic paint and go over this once it's totally dry. So it'll look more white. I just haven't yet figured out why it would dry grayish, but it does. It's not a dark gray, it's just when you are used to seeing it as white, and then it dries overnight and you come back and you go, wait, that was white when I put it on, it's not white anymore. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I wish I knew. And I don't know if I can find an answer with Dr. Google or not, but I'm probably going to try at some point, just because I'm curious. But I love working with it, whether I'm using acrylics or what. I love working with it. I use it on a lot of my craft projects, but this is the first time, I think it is, that I've ever used it with watercolor. Isn't that fun? Love it. And see how the white's going up over the edge? So it's covering up some of my black and my rest. Totally fine. That's exactly what I wanted. So the molding paste, I keep wanting to say modeling, but it's molding. The molding paste is by Golden. I get it at Michael's. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon or any kind of, you know, craft store, art store. I think you can get it at Hobby Lobby too, actually. I believe so. And once all this dries too, if I decide that I need some more depth to the hat, you know, once I know that I'm through with the molding paste, then I can always go back and shade in some more of the hat or do whatever needs to be done. So it's okay if you have to do it in steps. And I just pounce it to make it stick up like it's fur. Okay, let's go around his little ear here. It's going to take a lot down here on his beard. Some around his ear. I don't want that to be such a stark black line, so let's kind of cover that up a little bit. Okay, now let's do his mustache. Now that's another reason why I went in and put this dark in under his mustache. I won't bring the molding paste quite up to where his mustache is so that you can see a difference. A little bit of difference. Now I'm not going to make this as fluffy. I'm going to kind of try to make it look more like hair. Whiskers. every time I get ready to say fun, 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 which I say a lot, I think of that song, and we'll have fun, 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 day and day, takes you to the away. Okay, got that part of the mustache done. Let's turn it around. Try to do this one about the same. Make it look more like hair strokes than fur. And this would be fun. You could put it in a frame and just hang it up at Christmas. I can honestly say this is the first time I have done mixed media watercolor. It's kind of fun because I love both mediums. Love watercolor, love mixed media. A little bit more of a point right there. I wonder if I take a little brush, if I could make this, make some little hair-like things in his eyebrows. Haha! Didn't leave myself much place to rest my hand, did I? Have to rest it over here on the side. This is the brush I use with the mascoid, so it's a little bit funky, a little bit hard, but I might as well use it for this too, because I don't think the brush is going to survive, even though I did put detergent on it like you're supposed to. You don't, whenever you're using mascoid, don't use any kind of brush you're not wanting to ruin, even if you do put the stuff on it. The detergent. Oh, that's kind of cute. Alright, I think I'm going to turn him upside down to do these and just hope they somewhat match. I can get my finger down in here. It's hard when you're painting to talk. For me it is anyway, because I get so wrapped up in it. And a lot of times when I'm painting, I have on praise and worship music, so I'll be singing along with the music, just having a big old time. Love it. Oh my, look at those. Gotta get that white place taken care of. Okay, so let's now do the little fuzzy ball over here. We're gonna go back to tapping again. We can cover up those pencil lines, because it's not probably gonna look like a perfect ball if it's on a Santa anyway, is it? So I'll just leave a little bit of space right there between the two so that there's a little bit of differentiation. Okay, now it's time to glob this on. So I'm just going to put some down here, and then we'll go back and decide what we're going to do with it. And how we're going to smear it around. come totally all the way up. Leave just a little bit of room. Scared me to death.
Are you still on?
I am.
Still alive.
Got it all done?
I haven't got everything moved. I haven't got the washer and dryer installed yet. But
They're up there?
yeah, everything's up there and loaded on the trailer and
I saw you loaded on the trailer.
ready for break time now.
You ready to read some comments now?
Yeah, I can do that. My phone's not too hot. How's it going?
Good.
Let's take a look and see what you got. Well, look at that. It is good. Who did that for you?
Who drew it for me? Me, myself, and Eileen. Y'all, that's a root beer, not a beer, in case you're wondering.
And even a diet root beer at that.
Not that it would matter. It'd be fine if it was a beer, but
Pop a top again.
I think I'll have another round.
All right. Let's see. Turn the sound down.
Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm just tap, tap, tapping. I could just be swirling too, like this. Maybe I'll tap, tap, and swirl.
There you are. Live.
There I is. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
All right. We got some. I don't know whether you've seen comments.
I
lately.
hadn't seen any.
I'll tell you what. I can read some to you.
Okay.
We start at the beginning. Let's
Yeah.
see who all's here. Well, I keep on pushing past the live button.
I'm going to
See.
smooth this out, y'all, and then I'll go back and rough it up.
All right, I'm going up to the top. You've got Vicki Anderson, I love the underpainting.
Sister!
Veronica Quilty Lawmeyer.
What is this over here, y'all? Look what I did. I made a boo-boo with paint. I'll have to change that.
Hi, Lisa and Rodney. Vicki Anderson, hard to believe she is starting HS Boone, starts 7th grade. Wow, time flies. Diane Newman, me, and technology have been fighting all day. Plus, I am in a war with lanternflies.
Good. What
Anyway,
is
I was
that?
able to get back on.
What is lantern flies?
Oh, I don't know.
I never heard of that. Diane, what is that?
Life is about balance. Vicki Anderson says it kind of looks like a lion's nose. You know, I love Santa's, and he is really cute.
Who said that?
Vicki. And Diane says she loves him. Shirley Ann Beckett says, well, that's awesome.
Well, thank
Well, I'm
y'all.
back down at the bottom of the list. I don't think I ever made it all the way to the top. Oh, yeah, there's some more right there. So Diane Newman. I don't think it's going to let me go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, we'll have to do that later.
Yeah, that's stressing my phone out to try to make it go backwards that far. So let's see, it's a little bit jerky right now because I've been running it back and forth. I think that's not a good thing. I might be challenging our Wi-Fi. Let me make sure this other Wi-Fi here is turned off so we don't have too many on the same Wi-Fi at the same time.
Okay, y'all, we've about got enough molding paste on here.
Okay, let's see what we got. Let's go to Wi-Fi is off.
Just trying to make it look like he's got some little whiskers sticking out here and not just following a straight line.
So what's the stuff you're putting on now, the white stuff?
Molding paste
Okay.
by Golden. I've already told
Giving
them.
him a little texture. beard and mustache. Lantern flies came from China, of course, and they are in maybe 20 states. They have red wings as adults. PMU with a pick and information. Well, keep them out of Tennessee. We really don't need anything else here as far as varmints. We got enough mosquitoes and ticks and chiggers as it is. Lantern flies kind of reminds me of when we have lightning bugs. Do they light up?
Well, she wasn't talking about them like she liked them, so I'm not sure that's the same thing.
Well, I don't think it's the same thing at all, but it seems like a lot of things come here from China.
Yeah. It's because a lot of things do come here from China.
Oh, maybe is that the reason?
Yeah. Sad to say.
Let's see here.
Okay, y'all. Now, I don't know where this little swirly gig came from over here, or how it got there. I'm sure y'all watched me do it. I didn't even know I did it.
Leave it there as your mark.
No.
Your, what do you call it? Like a signature thing?
No, thank you.
Are you just erasing it with water?
Yep. Another example. See, I'm using transparent watercolor, so look how it's coming off. Can they see?
Well, yeah, you're a little low, but if the comments weren't there, we could get fine. But no, there is no light about those bugs, but they jump, and it makes it hard to kill them.
Ugh.
And as adults, they fly. Sounds like giant fleas.
Keep them with you, Diane, okay? Don't send them here. Please, ma'am.
You know, we've got a species of carp that are now in our rivers that apparently originated in China that have not enough predators to keep them down, and they're by the thousands in the rivers, and they're no good to eat or anything.
Ugh.
And then we got their Japanese beetles. Those are Japanese, so that's different than Chinese.
Those Japanese lady beetles, they bite.
Yeah.
Or sting.
Anyway, we're going to try to avoid those bugs. We don't need any more.
They used to bug me. Don't they bug you?
Uh-huh.
See what I did there? Okay, y'all, I'm about ready to call it quits.
There you go. Once you, I can't tell from here looking at the thing, but once you put the texture on his beard, did you come back and add any color to that, or is it still
Nope.
just white?
I did some shadowing underneath before we put it on, but
But once you put it on,
then it covered a lot, most of
Yeah.
it up. But I didn't take his beard all the way up to his lips, so there'd be a little bit of delineation there.
Diane said she would certainly try to keep them away from us.
I'm thinking he needs a little, maybe a few eyelashes. And he needs a little,
Put him some of those false eyelashes like
no,
you see a lot
I'm
of
not
people
putting those
wearing now.
false eyelashes on him. I think he needs a little, lid, extra little lid right above his lid.
A lid?
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. If I can do this without sticking my finger in it.
Diane says he is glorious.
Oh, thank you, Diane. And I think I'm gonna have to figure out a way to put some eyelashes on it.
I'll tell you, use some of those
I'm
people.
not using the false eyelashes. You're full of good ideas sometimes. Sometimes not so much.
You can Make him incognito, give him one of those pair of glasses with the false nose, you know.
It'd be. I started to paint glasses on him, but then I thought, oh, that's taking on a lot, Lisa.
Well, they could always be added.
I know what it is. One eye is more open than the other eye. Okay.
He's probably just got through winking at
My
somebody.
eyes aren't perfect either. Oh, y'all, I still didn't get that. I thought that. Didn't realize that was mascoid under there. Now.
Hey, Debbie Prater Norman. Looks like Debbie is just tuning in.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Lisa's doing the watercolor
Watercolor mixed media.
of mixed media. She's using the acrylic paint.
Nope.
She's using watercolor with a watercolor background, and she's using
And a watercolor Santa, but then I added the mixed media on his beard and his eyebrows.
and the little ruffle around his hat.
And the ball on his, the ruffle around his hat and the ball on his hat. Show did.
Debbie Norman, is it hot in Lynchburg? It's toasty around here.
Rodney sent me a picture from his truck today that showed it at 105.
I
Now,
was in Nashville traffic.
we
and
are
with
not
all that
in
pavement-
Arizona.
With all that pavement, it was getting really hot. It got up to 109 while I was driving, and then it cooled back down again once I got away from the main, where there's so many roads and stuff.
We are not in Arizona. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Debbie said I had the market today. I about burnt up.
I bet you did. Ugh.
Well, did you make some good sales? Or did you have some produce or something to sell? Or some of your good cooking?
Pies. Her good pies.
I hope you had a little tent or something to keep the direct sun off of you while you had market. Oh, look, upside down Santa.
I told him sometimes it's good to do a whole painting upside down.
Sometimes I do them and I can't tell if we're right side up or not.
Okay, he needed a little more dimension right there around his nose. Now,
What?
tell you what I'm going to do. Since this is mixed media, Ronnie, come over here and hand me my white acrylic paint, please. We're going to make his eyes more white in the white part and less
Just out of the drawer
black.
back here.
No, there should be some sitting over there on the left-hand
The
side.
snowy white chalk paint?
No, not the chalk paint. There should be a little bottle of white.
How about this enamel
Yeah, that'd be good.
wicker?
That'd be good. Can you move this for me, por favor?
Through with watercolors?
I have a little plate right here.
Debbie said it's sold pretty good. She takes a cooler to keep the stuff cool. We're under the park pavilion. Oh yeah, I know where that is.
Do you do that every Friday, Debbie?
If so, we'll have to get down there and get us a pie. It wouldn't be good for storage of pies, but this is just about the right temperature for a pie for me. I like them warmed up. Yep, must be every Friday.
Wow. Out so you do that in the summer. I couldn't do it.
Debbie, what all kinds of things do they sell there? Is it just like cooking or produce or person get to sell something there. I might want to take one of Lisa's paintings down there and sell it.
Ah.
Set me up a little art booth.
I think it's mostly just baked goods. It's like a farmer's market. So they probably sell, you know, stuff that people grow on their farms down there. And then baked goods. For those of y'all who don't know this, Rodney is from Lynchburg, Tennessee, home of Jack Daniels. And he's talking to a friend and former classmate of his who still lives down there. Now, that white is better. And that other eyeball needs to be smaller.
The iris part.
Yep. So we're going to make it smaller. Since we're using mixed media, then I don't have to worry about using white. Otherwise, I'd have been in a deep, deep trouble because I don't have any watercolor white. What did she say?
Debbie said, I could keep it on live here. Ah, that's a good idea. Debbie says, honey, corn, veggies, desserts, baskets made by women from India, I believe.
Oh, cool.
And Diane Newman says you need to paint a Jack Daniels bottle.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
I've got a bunch of bottles I need to start working on. I've collected a few. Just hadn't done it yet. Other things took priority, don't you know?
Wouldn't be a bad idea to get some of the various decorator bottles they've come up with over the years. Now, some of the bottles themselves are fairly valuable. If they're still full of whiskey, they're a little more valuable. But if you did a good job painting one, you might could increase the value, or it might decrease the value.
I bet it would decrease it.
Okay, so don't paint any of those I've got up in the cabinet above the dryer. I'm gonna move those to the basement.
No, I think there's still some up there. This is not the best brush to be doing this
You could paint a Jack Daniel bottle to make it look like it was full of, or partly full of liquor.
Yeah.
Make sure you got your shadowing and everything pretty, but you can do that. Kathleen Whitney Boyd is watching.
Hello, hello.
Let's see here. Somebody else just commented. Says, Debbie Norman says, Lisa, I love watching you paint. You're so talented.
Oh, Debbie, you're so sweet. Thank you.
I guess when it pops up and says somebody's watching, it doesn't necessarily keep that comment. That's just kind of a...
Yeah, it's just letting you know they probably just came
know,
on.
And then they disappear. Unless they comment again.
Okay, that's better. He still needs some eyelashes. And I'm going to have to get my... Where's my palette?
I can do you need it back.
I gotta get just a little bit of the black.
Which way you want it?
Black back. And go at it from upside down. Now I'm going over this acrylic with watercolor. That's interesting. Kind of straighten it out a little bit. All right, I'm gonna give him a few little eyelashes if I can make them small enough. I don't like doing eyelashes because,
Teeny tiny brush, doesn't it?
well, I've got a teeny tiny brush, but I don't know. I always just feel like I'm gonna make them a little too thick instead of wispy.
Well,
Okay. Got me some black here. Let me put a little more blue right there. So I'm going to roll my brush around in the paint so I'll still keep a little point. And we're going to see. One is a little bit too long. I don't know that that adds much, but
don't make him look like a snuffleupagus.
I think he needs a little more of that texture paste in his eyebrows. I'm just barely touching the brush, y'all, but see, I've got my little finger anchored again. If I was trying to do it without having my little finger anchored, it would be a hot mess.
Could you also use like a Sharpie, fine point Sharpie?
You could, as long as it wasn't going to get any kind of a clear coat put on it.
Does it make it bleed?
Mm-hmm. You can do that with acrylic, but not with watercolor.
In watercolor too, I guess you'd have to make sure the paper is really dry before you try to do that, because you're, even with a Sharpie, it could run.
Yeah.
If it was a damp paper. So Lisa, how do you like your new camera arrangement over your shoulder while you're working there?
The only thing I don't like about it is I can't see comments, and I feel like I'm just, talking to the.
Touch the wall.
I don't want. I mean, I like them when I'm painting like this. I like for them to be able to see it more, but on a regular basis,
Well, we can get the 2 or 3 camera system going and put one over your shoulder, and then you still have the one in front, and you can just switch and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, that I would like for sure. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna add a little bit of this modeling paste, and then I'm gonna be done. I know they're going, yeah, sure. You've been saying that. Sure, Lisa, sure you are.
Well, I think when you're done, you should have to find a picture be of him upside down, so people have to turn their phone over. And then when they do, then the phone will flip again.
And drive people crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm not like you. I don't like to do things like that to people.
I like things to be challenging.
What?
I like things to be challenging.
Did y'all hear what he said? What he suggested? That when I finish, I leave it upside down. So when y'all turned your camera then to try to get it right side up, it would keep flipping around like the camera does. Guess what I've had to eat today?
0.
Correct.
Maybe you'll take me out to dinner.
We got company coming. I'll have to see how close they are.
Well, don't mind if we're not here. They'll make themselves at home. I wonder what would happen
Oh yeah, I like this white and his eye, putting more white in his eyebrows.
if it said
See, that looks better.
Diane Newman, she didn't say it'd be a good idea, but she said, haha, so she.
Yeah.
I think that means she really likes the idea.
I think it does.
Oh.
I think you're just wishful thinking.
Well, you know, when people take their picture to go on videos and stuff, and they hold the camera to angle, or they take a picture of themselves taking a picture, or somebody takes a picture of them and they cock their head to the side. That's kind of the style now, so you at least need to turn his head to the side a little bit. Like this.
I wish I could see his face.
Well, you got to pooch out your lips a little bit too, because that's popular now.
Like, yeah.
And
you gotta go.
Oh yeah, do your fingers a certain way. I don't know about all that. That came over good on the phone when you did that. You made that
I don't want.
Yeah.
Good. Now he's got some fuzzy eyebrows.
Reminds me of how the Charlie's Angels used to do when they did a pose at the end. So do you like him?
I do like him. Do they like him is the question.
Nope, nobody
Can we
likes
get
him.
some hearts if you like him?
Nope, nobody likes him yet.
Ooh.
Hey, whoop, there's a thumbs up and heart, heart, heart. Heart, 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 heart. Yep.
Thank you.
Debbie says, I love Santa pictures. This is really good.
Thank you, Debbie.
So, here we go.
Y'all are my favorite cheerleaders.
Are they more favorite than me?
No.
Okay. She has to say that, or otherwise I quit working for her.
I've already fired you several times.
All right.
Hey, I was telling them, maybe, have you ever figured out the answer to this? Because I'm noticing it now. I'm going back over with more. Remember how when I put this molding paste on,
Hey, Debbie.
and I come back several hours later, it's like grayish? Why? Because even this that I put on earlier right now, it's dried and it's kind of flattened out and it's grayish.
I don't know. A lot of the, you know, like the spackling and things like that does the same thing. It turns gray.
Well, why?
I don't know. Maybe because it's got lime in it or something. You
So
know,
I told y'all what I would do is I would, once this is all dry, if it's too gray looking, then I'll go back over this part of it with white acrylic paint.
Yeah, even though the texture you put on causes some shadows to be created, just because it's not flat.
Yeah.
When you go back over it, you might end up just really putting some, not rubbing buff on there, but something to accentuate it a little bit. See live video. Here we go again.
What?
Debbie Norman says, you better keep riding because there's nothing better than free.
You got that right, sister.
Lisa's Pretty Little Things is watching.
Hey, Lisa. My namesake, I guess. But she spells hers different.
She does. L-I-E-S-A. And then when it's plural, she puts apostrophe.
Lisa, what's your middle name?
I think you've asked her that before.
Well, I'm asking her again because I don't remember. I don't remember what she said.
So Debbie Oakley says she loves it.
Debbie! Hey, sis.
Yeah, I thought I better clear that up since there's two Debbies on here now. So, Lisa's Pretty Little Things. What is her middle name? Let's everybody guess what her middle name is. Lisa's hoping it is Ann. I think it is Marie. I think it's Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie Presley. Okay, y'all.
Debbie says, evening, sister.
Here we go.
Marilyn Holler is watching.
Hey, Marilyn. Okay, so can y'all see now still? I'm going to come up closer. See all the pattern in the background? Right here. So the way I did that, I'll show you on this other one. Will you hand me that?
Lisa's middle name is Joe. Her daddy really wanted a boy.
Lisa Joe. My daddy's name is Joe. Okay, see on this one, So I wet the paper first, and then my paints were very thin. So I took my wide, I've got it put somewhere else, 1.5 inch brush, and dipped it in the, or put it in the yellow paint, and I just kind of swished it over there, and I had it on a board. It wasn't stapled down, it was just on a board, and then I would tilt it back and forth, being careful to leave some white spaces.
Was it nice and wet first?
I said I wet it first. Then I rinsed my brush, and I did the same thing with the red, but I didn't follow the same pattern. I just kind of made another pattern. You want all of your corners to be different. Then I rinsed my brush, and I took the French Ultramarine blue. I should have used cobalt blue, but I used French Ultra and did the same thing, being careful to leave some whites. And then I wiped around the edge of it with a paper towel, just wiped the baby's bottom like this to soak up the extra water so it wouldn't make a back run. Laid it flat on my board, and then I had pieces of dry cleaner bag, and I would just take a piece, wad it up, lay it down, take another piece, wad it up, lay it down. I did that all over my board, and then I would set something hard, heavy on each piece that I laid down until it totally dried, and then it leaves a little pattern, which is just another way of doing a background.
Adding interest.
But last night, I told him at the beginning that last night when I did this one, Ronnie and I laid it on the dining room table and laid 2 wood cutting boards on here. I don't think they made as good a contact with the paper as this one that I did this morning early, because you can see the pattern on here. Where is it? There's pattern right here.
Right next to
see?
The cat.
And then there's pattern up there. I can't tell how to do it. Right here. So I just like that look. It's just an underpainting with a little bit of different twist. So, okay, let me turn around now so I can at least see their faces. Thank you guys for being on here with me. The 747 is getting ready to take off. Can you hear him? I see him waving.
Can y'all hear his loud truck?
Oh my gosh, y'all.
He's a teenager, and he's proud of his loud truck with big tires. And
See those lights come on? Can y'all see?
No,
No,
they
you
can't
can't
see
see.
that.
Here, let me turn the camera. Come on. Okay, look. Oh, shoot.
you're looking straight up, man.
I know. Oh, well. Let me just take this off. Let me turn it now so y'all can, whoops, I did it wrong.
Got me.
Okay, see his lights? That's just some of them, y'all. When he comes down the driveway at night, he has lights top, bottom, underneath,
He took about half
on
of
the
them off.
sides. He did?
On top, he had a rack on top and a
Well,
rack
listen to
over
it.
his
There he
bed,
goes.
and had lights all over them. I can't say much. There have been times when I built an old car that I had to do the same thing.
Yes, there have.
My dream
Okay, you
machine.
guys, I love you all so much. Thank you for sticking with me through the Santa mixed media watercolor painting. I'm sure looking at the back of my hair was really interesting today. This was the brush I was going to do the cheeks with, y'all, and I couldn't find it, you know. That's because it was sticking in the back of my hair. So, anyway, I love you guys. I will be on tomorrow, but as I said earlier, our family's coming in town. We're celebrating all the birthdays, and we're probably going to the Franklin Rec Center, to the water park, and then going out to dinner. So, if I'm live tomorrow, I probably will be live from the water park. Probably won't be doing a craft because Brittany and Kyle will be here till Sunday, and then they head back. I know technically I should be doing one tomorrow and Sunday, and that would complete my 31 days
I'll
in
help
July.
her do one.
See,
Look
I
at
picked
that.
a month that has 31 instead of just 30. That was dumb. So I will, Diane. I can't wait to see them all and spend time together. And you all have a great, blessed weekend. Hope you get an opportunity to bless someone else. Love you. Bye.